Welcome, everyone. My name is Rudy, and together with my wife, Patricia, we are responsible for one of the life groups here at Eastside. I'm also a member of the worship team. And today, we're going to look at Luke 21. There are many important subjects in this chapter, but at the moment, we'll just look at verses 1 through 4, which is a well-known passage, also found in the Gospel of Mark in chapter 12. So we will begin reading in verse 1, chapter 21 of Luke. Jesus looked up and saw the rich putting their gifts into the offering box, and he saw a poor widow put in 2 small copper coins. And he said, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all of them, for they all contributed out of their abundance, but she out of her poverty put in all she had to live on." Just in case you're wondering, the 2 small coins were the smallest amount of money available in Jesus' time, worth 1/64th of a day's wage each. I'm sure that most of us have heard a message on these verses. There are 3 or 4 different ways to look at them, but today we'll look at one with an extra point of interest at the end. So if you've already heard this take on these verses, I would invite you to stay till we finish anyway. First of all, we see rich people leaving their gifts in the offering box, then a poor widow who has held back nothing. There are some who have suggested that she's the victim of religious abuse, greed, and legalism, giving all for fear of losing her soul if she didn't squeeze out everything in a vain attempt to buy God's grace. This is a very different approach to these verses, and I actually do not agree with that at all, nor do the majority of interpreters of this passage. I believe that she gave everything she had because she trusted God to supply her needs. Her faith in and her love for God were such that she trusted him to look after her. Though her gift was small, Jesus declared that she had given more than all the others. To the onlooker, it appeared that she had given the smallest amount possible. And some may have judged her as stingy or uncaring or even mocked her feeble offering. We know, however, that God looks at the heart, not the outward appearance. And we have this confirmed in 1 Samuel 16:7, and Jesus makes this clear in this passage as well. I believe that this elderly widow's dedication to the Lord was applied to all of her life, not just her money. She was fully committed to God and placed her faith in him. Her attitude is contrasted with that of the teachers of the law mentioned at the end of Luke chapter 20, the chapter just before this passage. These men strutted around, showing off their supposed piety to gain the praise of men, all seen and rewarded then and there, but not by God. The church today is often accused of being obsessed with money and acting like those very same men, and though there are unscrupulous people who use the faith to fleece the flock, this is not the case in most churches. Jesus actually had a lot to say about money. This is because we like it, we like to pile it up, we look at it as security, we may like to use it to show off, etc. And it shows actually where our true desires lie. However, we also need it. We cannot trade our old horse for a new car anymore. We're not asked to give away everything we have. We are asked to dedicate ourselves and everything we have to God's purposes, to know God and to make him known. That also means we have the opportunity to give, as the old preachers used to say, of our time and treasure. I'm not going to discuss tithing in depth here, but I would like us to be encouraged to consider the results of a study that was done in 2013, published in Relevant magazine. This study is only of U.S. churches. Please bear that in mind. I will not go into the actual levels of giving discovered in this study, other than to say they are far, far below what is commonly known as a tithe. The second part of this study examines what would happen and what we as a church could do if we actually all tithed faithfully. First of all, we'd have $25 billion available to solve world hunger, and they estimate it could be done within 5 years. $12 billion to end illiteracy within 5 years. $15 billion to end water and sanitation problems in the developing world. $10.8 billion to free the 27 million people who are slaves right now. $42 billion for domestic ministry purposes in the US alone. $60+ billion for other missions ministry in the rest of the world, which is far beyond what is actually needed. Some suggest that the Great Commission could be fulfilled with 1/24 of that amount. There is another $100 billion that is collected now that isn't even entered into these figures. And this is only the U.S. church. Have to keep that in mind. What would be available if all the churches in the world were to come up to this level of commitment? There are about 7,000 unreached people groups that exist in our world still. We could finish the work the Lord has called us to, and He could return. Please be encouraged by this. Thank you very much, and God bless you.